Hey guys, I have a lot of new followers on the channel that probably doesn't even know that we have this beginnings of quite a large orchard. We started this one of the very first projects when we moved on the farm. We moved in March, and I think sometime in April we got our fruit trees in. We ordered all of them from Stark Brothers, and at the same time that we were moving in, I think no, it was the year after we moved in. I believe Justin and Rebecca Rhodes were doing their farm tour. Maybe it was that same year. I can't remember. But I was really inspired by the gentleman that he visited. I'm going to have to look him up, his name. I think he was up in Canada for some reason. I think he was in Canada. And was doing, maybe New Hampshire? Anyway, I'm getting off topic. He was doing the trio system with his orchard. It's a permaculture method where you're growing beneficial plants within your fruit trees. They bring in the beneficial insects and act as natural weed barriers and all this really fun stuff. And I thought, I want to do that too. So here I am telling you, it's 3 years later, and I have to abandon the food forest idea. It is so 2 reasons. I had 2 failures in this setup. One reason is my garden is on the complete opposite side of the property. I wish, looking back at it, that I'd put all my food growing system near each other. This often gets forgotten. I'm never over here on this side of the property. Maybe when I walk by to feed the goats, but that's usually first thing in the morning before I'm heading out to work. And then after work, I'm in the garden. So my orchard last year, guys, I hardly did anything with it other than harvesting chives. If you were following us at that time, we were super busy coming up to the spring season, prepping for the on-farm wedding reception. And yeah. So I don't think we even showed you the orchard last year. So I'm going to take you guys around and just show you the status of it now and talk about why I am giving up on the food forest idea and just sticking with a standard orchard design. One of the first things that you'll notice is that this winter we did run electric all the way around our orchard because last year a deer killed one of my peach trees. Doing a scrape on it. So we wanted to protect it from the deer. Now we didn't get it up until deer did damage one more time, but I think that tree is going to survive okay. So let's head into the orchard and I'll show you what I had planted in there. Okay, so these 2 trees right here are Bartlett pear trees. They're doing amazing. Now it took them a long time to take off. We got all of our trees as bare roots from Stark Brothers. So I just want to encourage you that if you are struggling seeing some kind of signs of really life and growth, these are going on their 4th year here with us, and so it does take time. They look great now. They need to be trimmed back a bit, so I will be doing some pruning today. Now, 2 years ago I planted honeyberries next past my fruit trees. They're doing wonderful. They really like it out here. I have honeyberries up at the house too, just as a living shrub, an edible shrub. So I'm probably going to move these up to just be edible landscaping shrubs around the front of the house. So if you've never had a honeyberry, they're amazing fruit. One of the first fruits that you get in the spring, and it's kind of like the mix between a blueberry and a grape. They're just delicious. So I have 2 of these. They're going to get moved up. I did have lavender that bordered all of my orchard, and when we had that polar vortex last year, it killed it all. Not a single lavender survived. So this will just get mowed down. As you can see, a wild tree has grown up. These are, gosh, what do they call them? Those flowering pear trees that are just nearly invasive, and they pop up everywhere. So Todd's gonna have to take those 2 down. Okay, moving on. The next 2 trees up from my Bartlett pear trees, this one's just absolutely gone crazy, are my Granny Smith apple trees. And maybe you can see in the design. I'll leave a link to the very first orchard video I did where I talked about training my trees to grow differently, and I wanted to make them grow out, like the branches naturally not naturally, obviously, I'm forcing them to do that, but it takes some of the burden off the trees when they do begin fruiting, because they've had all that strength and growth already out. And if you didn't know, when you grow an apple tree, sometimes they can become burdened by the weight of the apples, and it actually snaps the branches because it's pulling in such an unnatural direction. So that's just going to help prevent some of that. I do have a lot of growth on these that does need to be trimmed for the upcoming season. In between these two trees, I did plant American Cranberry, and I can barely see the tiny bits of a cranberry bush. So they just didn't do well for me, so I'm just gonna let those go and they're gonna get mowed down. Okay, my next two trees in the row are Honeycrisp apples, my personal favorite apple. You're gonna see this one looks really wonky. He's really laying down. He got really damaged a couple seasons ago from the wind and was really leaning over. And I thought, well, maybe I can just train him to grow kind of like an arched tree. That didn't quite work because now he's just growing as an angle. Probably what I should have done when he was young was put a brace up underneath his main branch to give him that arched look. I'm just having fun with designs of my trees in my orchard. So I think what I'm going to do is actually trim him way back and let him start growing more natural direction up. This Honeycrisp, can you believe that? These are supposed to be dwarf trees. Now it's getting quite big. So I'm going to have to take quite a bit of that off. And he needs a lot of retrimming done, or retraining done, so his branches continue to grow out like I want. And now in front of, scared me. In front of these trees I planted currants. And they're doing great. I have actually 4 currants between these 2 trees and the 2 trees in front of me. The currants, again, we're going to pull up out of the ground and place elsewhere on the property. So again, this is just going to be a fruit orchard, and that's all, where Todd mows around the trees and we mulch around them. Again, leaving the food forest design for 2 reasons. One, it gets ignored because it's not by my primary food growing system. And 2, it is a lot to maintain until it gets mature enough. Just a lot to maintain from the weed pressure, and a lot to maintain for the health and watering of the plants. We don't have a watering system out here, so I'm losing things that I just feel like it's a little bit of a waste from what I'm able to handle right now on property. You can see them. Ben Davis. These are an heirloom variety apple tree, so I did want to have some old generation apple trees on farm just because we are a historic homestead. So they're doing really well. They're definitely a much slower growing fruit tree than the Granny Smith and Honeycrisp. This one just has tons of pruning that needs to be done on it. And I will tell you guys, after 4 years, I've yet to have an apple. Lots of flowers, no apples yet. So I'm hoping this year might be our first year getting apples. Okay, so remember me telling you that the whole reason the electric is around the orchard is because deer got one of my trees. Well, this is the tree, the peach tree that the deer killed. There's a big bad scrape here, scraped all the way down. Last year though, I'm so glad I did not pull it out because I've got 5 new growths off this pear tree. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just keep this one. It's the strongest and growing up the most straight. Take down the rest, and we're going to hope, this obviously is probably coming from below the graft of the tree, so it won't be the dwarf variety that I purchased. These are both New Haven peaches. I'll show you the other one. But I'm excited that we may get some nice peaches this year. Ooh, That, guys, right there is my butte. I love peaches more than anything. So this is a really beautiful, super healthy peach tree that's about to bud out like crazy. It's getting way, way taller than it needs to be, losing some of its goblet shape. So I need to trim it up. I want to show you guys, though, something that happened this winter and see if you have any ideas for me. So this winter, let's see if I can zoom in for you. Yeah, this branch, right before we got the electric up, did get scraped by a deer. But everything above it still looks healthy. Now, what I'm concerned about is that might be an invitation for pest and disease. So I'm wondering if I should just go ahead and cut that main branch away. Or if there's some kind of tree healing tape that I should put around it. I think both are options. I do have a sucker coming off the bottom I need to take out. But anyway, I'm not going to bore you guys with the actual pruning of trees. I don't think that there's just enough interest in that. But I wanted to share with you guys, first, for my new viewers, welcome, and welcome to our orchard. Also behind us, we have 2 pecans and a whole row of blueberries. We hope to add a whole nother row of blueberry plants this year. But I wanted to just be honest with you that I am giving up on the food forest permaculture design for timing and poor placement reasons. It's definitely a wonderful design method if done properly. So I guess I just encourage you not to make the same mistakes that we did, and understand that it does take time to get it established and healthy where it's yielding the benefits that it's intended to. So Todd's here. He's going to help me get some of these plants pulled up in buckets, and we'll go replant those. So thanks guys for watching, and I'll talk to you later.